I don't want to give my name. I live near that old 2-lane road. I work nights. That night it rained hard. My wipers were useless. The clock read 2:13. I was driving home, slow. A little after the bridge, I felt a dull thud under the bumper, like hitting a bag. I checked the mirror, but rain turned lights into smear. There was no shoulder. Headlights were close behind me. Someone tailing me. I panicked and kept going. I told myself I'd stop ahead. I didn't. Next morning, 2 cops knocked. "Car in the ditch under the bridge," one said. "Empty. No driver." "Tire marks matched mine," he told me. My hands shook. I said I didn't stop. He looked at me like he wanted to know why. I couldn't explain. After that, I replayed the road in my head. Small, useless details popped up. The coffee I left on the counter. The way my cat tapped my ankle when I left. I kept thinking about that thud and the rain washing everything away. A week later, Hank the mechanic called. He leans on cars and chews gum. He told me the missing man had been moving a crate of cash for his brother. "Weird time for that," Hank said. I asked him why he thought that. He shrugged. "Brother says someone ran into him, but the marks on the road don't fit." He flicked grease from his hands. He seemed worried, but didn't want trouble. The funeral was small. The brother cried and said it was an accident. People nodded and went on. The town stopped asking questions. Kids still rode bikes over the bridge. My neighbor's dog kept barking at night like it remembered. I drove that stretch slower and kept my windows up. Sometimes I see a shape when it rains. Maybe a man, maybe a coat, maybe a tree. My brain fills in the blank. If I had stopped, I tell myself this. Maybe I could have helped. Maybe the tailing car wasn't chasing me, but chasing him. Maybe the crate meant someone followed. I did not push for answers. I told myself fear made me drive on. I said the rain hid things. But I still hear the sound of my wipers slapping, that soft, dull hit under my car. I never saw a body. I never heard anyone admit they looked for one. I keep small things in my head. The porch light buzzing, my floorboards creaking when my cat ran. I remember saying to the cop, I didn't stop, and feeling like I sounded like a liar even when I wasn't. Hank told me, almost in a whisper, cash brings trouble at night. I asked him if he thought someone hid a body. He looked away and said, "I don't know, man." He didn't want to get involved, neither did I. It haunts me sometimes, even during bright days. Now when it rains, I grip the wheel tight. Sometimes I pull over, but mostly I keep driving. The bridge looks the same. The ditch is hidden by weeds. The town forgets. I don't. At night, I lie awake and I ask, what did I miss? What didn't I see? And the rain outside my window keeps falling, like it knows something I don't. The power went out around 9 p.m. Rain was hitting our building like someone was throwing buckets at the windows. I was just sitting there in the dark, listening to my phone die when someone knocked on my door. It was Mr. Chen from 2B. Nice old guy, always said hello in the hallway. He looked stressed, kept wiping his hands on his pants. "Water's coming under my storage door," he said. "In the basement. Could you maybe check it out? I can't get down there with my bad knee." The basement always creeped me out. Those long hallways with the storage units, fluorescent lights that buzzed when they worked. But the guy looked worried, so I grabbed my flashlight. Down there, it was pitch black. I could hear water dripping somewhere. My footsteps echoed weird, like the sound was bouncing off things that shouldn't be there. Mr. Chen's storage door was cracked open. That's when I smelled it. Not just dampness, something else. Like old paper left in a wet box too long. I pushed the door wider. Inside, there were these plastic containers stacked up. Dozens of them. And on top, this blue tarp covering something. The smell got stronger. I lifted the corner of the tarp. Envelopes, hundreds of them, all organized in neat piles. Hospital discharge papers, photocopies of driver's licenses, social security cards, all elderly people. Names I recognized from our building and the one next door. Mrs. Patterson from 4A. She died last month. Mr. Rodriguez from across the street. His funeral was 2 weeks ago. There were recent insurance checks too. Made out to families, but never cashed. Bank statements with zero balances where there should have been money left for burial costs. I heard footsteps behind me. Find what you're looking for? Mr. Chen was standing there, not looking worried anymore, actually smiling. You collect these? I asked. He shrugged. People trust their neighbors. Families are busy when someone dies. They think I'm helping by holding on to their paperwork. He laughed, this quiet sound that made my skin crawl. But people stop checking when it rains, when they're dealing with other problems. I backed toward the door. The money. Funeral homes don't care who pays the bill. Banks don't check signatures too carefully on grief checks. He was blocking my way out now. Been doing this for 3 years. You'd be surprised how much dead people are worth. The lights came back on upstairs. I could hear the building's heater kicking in. I managed to get past him and ran upstairs. Called the cops from my apartment. 2 weeks later, they arrested him. Found evidence of at least 12 families he'd stolen from. Some people never got their loved ones buried properly because the money was gone. The worst part? He'd been volunteering at the senior center for years. Building trust. Learning who was sick, who lived alone, who had family that lived far away. I still live in the same building. But now when it rains hard like that night, I think about all the things that surface when water finds the cracks. All the secrets people hide in dark places until something forces them into the light. Makes you wonder what else is hidden in your own building's basement. Have you ever seen a storm and felt like it hid more than rain? Like the noise made people forget things they shouldn't? My name is Claire. I don't want to tell much about where I live. That night, I was downtown, walking to my car. A thunderstorm came fast and hard. I ducked into the bus shelter. The lights buzzed. There was a woman there, soaked. She had a toddler asleep on the bench, bundled under a thin blanket. The kid's face was peaceful, like he hadn't a care. The woman looked frantic, but calm at the same time. Her hands kept moving, fixing the blanket, pulling at her hair. I offered to run to my car and charge her phone. She said, "No, it's in the stroller." She said it quick, like practiced. I watched her feet. When the bus pulled up, she stood and slipped on with the others. She moved fast. The driver didn't look back. No one did. The stroller was gone. The toddler was left sleeping on the bench. I froze. Rain hit my face. I called 911. I told them a kid was left. The woman ran, stroller gone. I stuttered a bit. They said they'd send someone. The social worker who came later sat across from me and nodded. "You're not the first person," she said. She told me they'd found 3 little ones that month after storms, wandering or left. Each time someone came and claimed them later. Each time the person who claimed them, they vanished after. They sounded tired when they said it. They used a paper and wrote the same notes. After that, I couldn't stop seeing storms differently. I walked home slow, and I remember the old neighbor's porch light was out, and the gate squeaked when my cat ran across the yard. I told my sister. She shrugged. People talked quietly. They said rainy nights were good for moving things, for slipping from place to place. The toddler was safe that night. He cried a little at the shelter and then went quiet in a warm place. But the story stuck. Weeks later, I saw a woman at the coffee shop with an empty stroller pushed like a habit. She smiled at no one. I can't say if she's part of it. I can't say who takes them or why storms are used. I just know the rain hides people who need looking at closer. I keep thinking what I would do next time. I hope I do better. I don't know. At night, I drive by the shelter, slow, check the benches, and my chest tightens with a worry I can't shake at all times. The shelter bench stuck in my head. Cold, sticky maybe. The social worker gave me a card and told me to call if I saw anything. I phoned once when I saw a van by the river during a storm. They said they'd send someone. I watched from my window until the van drove away. Some nights rain stays loud in my ears. I can smell wet pavement in my mind. My hands still shake thinking of that kid. I remember the bus doors hissing shut. I remember signing a paper with a cop and saying I did the right thing like that mattered. My cat jumped on the bed and the floorboards creaked. Small, normal sounds that feel like warnings now. I try to pay attention when it rains. I drive past the shelter and count strollers. I want to be braver. I hope next time I act. I'm not someone who usually talks about this stuff, but after everything that happened, I can't shake it. Maybe telling someone will help me sleep better. I used to work nights at Murphy's gas station on Route 47. One of those places where truckers stop and weird people buy energy drinks at 3 a.m. The pay wasn't great, but I needed the money for rent. One night in October, it rained really hard. I was behind the counter, reading an old car magazine. The coffee machine was making that annoying drip it does when it's humid. At 1:12 a.m., I remember the exact time because I kept checking the clock. A woman ran in, soaked, hair stuck to her face, mascara messed up. Her eyes were red like she'd been crying. Can I please use your phone?" she asked, breathing hard. I pointed to the payphone by the bathroom, but she shook her head and asked for the one behind the counter, said it was an emergency. She dialed fast like she knew the number. When someone picked up, she froze. After maybe 10 seconds, she hung up without saying anything. "Please," she whispered, "please don't tell anyone I was here." Before I could ask more, she ran back out into the rain. I watched through the window but couldn't see where she went. The lot lights were dim, and the rain blurred everything. A week later, I watched the local news while eating cereal. Don't judge. And they said a man from our neighborhood was missing. Thomas something. His phone last pinged on the highway during that big storm. Same night the woman came in. Then things at work got weird. My manager Dave is strict about the register. I started seeing small cash withdrawals that didn't add up. 23 here, 17 there. Odd amounts. They happened on nights people paid cash and drove off quick. Dave called it system glitches. But our cameras have a blind spot near the pumps. During heavy rain, half the footage just didn't record. Dave blamed the storm. The missing man's wife called the station asking if anyone saw him. I wanted to tell her about the woman, but she had begged me not to say anything. What if I was wrong? The wife told me she got a voicemail from her husband's phone that night. Heavy breathing and a faint, "Help me." The voice was low and scratchy. It might have been him. I keep thinking about that woman. How scared she looked. How she knew the number without thinking. And how she begged me not to tell. When it rains hard, I hear the coffee machine drip. I quit 2 months later. Told Dave I found something better, but I couldn't stay. Every odd cash payment made me think of those withdrawals. Every time the cameras glitched during storms, I remembered missing footage. Thomas's case went cold quick. I still drive by that highway and wonder what happened that night. I never found out who answered when the woman called. I never found out why she hung up. Rain can wash footprints and tire tracks, but it didn't wash the memory of that night away.